right, folks. 2 minutes left. If you're new here, just letting you know that today is the last day for OSCP studies, primarily because we have completed most of the things which we need to do for the syllabus to get over. I know that there are some things which are still remaining, but I want to strategically finish those um, in my Hackthebox challenges. I'm planning on doing TJ nulls. Um, hey man, thanks a lot. Um, TJ nulls sessions for Hackthebox machines, and I'm gonna go ahead and complete one by one until we finish the entire TJ null section. If you're curious how big it looks like, I can pull it up. I think it's right over here. There we go. Yep, those are all the machines. Most of them are in Hackthebox right over here. So we're just gonna go ahead and finish one by one as much as we can. That's the idea. Once we do that, we should be able to be confidently able to take OSCP at least. If not, we can continue moving towards other certifications. And also, I just wanted to point out that today being the last day, I'm just going to cover the methodology which you need to keep in mind in order to um, get this started, and build your own. Don't just copy what it is available outside. Just build your own methodology, and once you do that, you should be able to confidently tackle any machine it comes across you. Because once you develop that, that's your bible for hacking, and that's your step by step. This is all a step by step game that they don't usually do um, hacking outside, like just like how you see in Mr. Robot. That's not how it works. But in real life, it's a very step by step procedural and disciplined game. If you follow extreme discipline in this, then only you can succeed. So that being said, let me just hit record on this and go ahead and begin the session. Hey everyone, this is 4 o'clock here. My name is Shubham. I go by InfoSec Bro. I have been doing OSCP's studies for about um, 1 year now, and I've taken my OSCP, passed it in the first attempt, top 100 scores. I've been doing pen testing ever since I was in college. That is like 6 years ago, so 5 6 years ago, and ever since then I've been learning every day something new. So at this time, at this stage, I am at this position where I am willing to share my knowledge. I don't want to be a brain dump of my knowledge onto yours. I want to just be empowering you on thinking on your own. And that's how I learned it. Nobody taught me anything. I just went ahead and took guidance from people and then made my own way. So that's what I want you to learn. There are a lot of people you can find on YouTube and Twitch who actually do brain dumps. They do move so quickly that you don't even know what's going on, and that can be challenging. I totally understand, but most of the time, those are just places where you just go for views as well as learn something a little bit, only fraction of it marginalized, and then you move on from it. You at the end of the video you learn only 1% of what they were talking. That's not my goal. My goal is to make sure that you learn by yourself, with your thinking, put some creativity into it, and then progress forward. Pen testing is definitely very easy. It's not rocket science. As long as you have the methodology solid and fixed, you should be able to do any sorts of pen testing, even get paid for it. You never know. Get a job in it. I've seen people from finance background getting a pen testing job or a SOC analyst job. Not that they don't know anything about it, but they learned in a completely different field. They learned, they put the effort into it, with zero background knowledge on how cybersecurity works per se, and they got a job, man. I'm dead serious. I've seen a lot of people do this. I've seen truck drivers get jobs in cybersecurity, and they make like 100 grand a year. If they can do it and they can put effort into it, definitely you can too. And I'd recommend anyone who is reading or watching this to think on your own and start attacking boxes. Learn from what every single machine is teaching you, and just learn that part. Don't learn anything else. Just learn that how did you use the tool to get from where you were before, and how did you get to where you are right now. So use those tools, that knowledge, and just write it down, note it down, make your entire syllabus, an entire subject for cybersecurity for yourself, not for anyone else. Nobody's gonna see your stuff unless you're willing to share like I'm doing. But at the end of the day, those are your notes. Those are not supposed to be public. I don't make my notes public. I just make part of it. But think on your own, be independent, and I'm pretty sure you can do this. So, without further ado, let's just jump in on methodologies. If you don't know what we were talking about up till now, that's okay. uh, I am just going to discuss the methodology today. It's going to be a short session because I have to finish this, and then um, I have to go for some. I have to go for a birthday party for someone. So that being said, let's just jump in. I shouldn't be saying all this. Okay. Topic number 24, the way the pen testing subject is broken down by offensive security is that they have provided at the very end um, the pen test breakdown, which is the most wrong place to do this, according to me, because this should be in the beginning. People should know how to do this, how does the whole magic work from the beginning, and then as they deep dive into each and every enumeration technique, they should be able to recollect as to why we did this back over on the first syllabus, first module, and then we moved forward on that. How did we do that? How did the privilege escalation work? How did you get into the database? So things like that. This should be in the topmost, on the top part of it. But I think they're building from extreme basic knowledge, which is fine. But OSCP is not meant to be for basic stuff. There are a ton of courses from eLearn Security, which is um, pretty fundamental. Let me just say that. It's not meant eLearn Security. If you do OSCP, you pass like 50% of eLearn Security certifications by default. I mean, they don't even come close to racking up next to OSCP. If someone says, "Hey, should I do EJPT or EPTX, whatever acronyms they're coming up with these days, and should I do an OSCP?" I would put all my money on OSCP, because all my money and effort into OSCP, because that's much more valuable in the industry, and based on how industry slowly progresses, especially in cybersecurity, because at this stage they're still moving towards um, um, CISSP required for a very entry level job. If that's the case, then OSCP is not gonna go away for many years. They need to come up with something extremely difficult to replace OSCP. But good chance that people don't think like that. So works in your favor. Just focus on your OSCP. Don't think about anything else and from eLearn unless you don't have much knowledge. Just jump over there, build up your foundation, and then jump into OSCP. But if you think you know what you got, just jump in. I did the same way. I didn't take anything from eLearn because first of all, the pricing methodology was completely expensive from eLearn Security. Now they have lowered it because a lot of people are crying about that how expensive you guys are. But now they're only meant for business, so that's why it's difficult to see their value in it. But I've been working with OSCP and offensive security since a while. I completely vouch for it. So let's just jump in on the first topic, which is public network enumeration. The way they have set this up is that you do the enumeration in the beginning, and then if you find a database, you jump on it, as well as you do deeper enumeration to web apps. Most of the time you might not get web apps in your actual life, but for simulation purpose of OSCP and Hackthebox, try hack me, what have you, you will always have a port 80 open. um, I don't know why the camera is doing this. I move somewhere, it focuses. Oh yeah, there we go. Some weird light angles. I think it's because the window which is open. Um, the way they are focusing on is they are making sure that there is the most easiest port of entry, which is port 80 open. With port 80 open, they can utilize a ton of web applications which you can enumerate and hack further. So it's important that you know that this is just a simulation in pen testing, OSCP. In real life, I would recommend you to build your methodology based on MITRE ATT&CK. MITRE ATT&CK is the de facto methodology procedure for threat agents, as well as people like you and me who protect companies from threat agents. So everybody follows this. They know how this works. It's very well documented. It's so well documented that people actually refer this in their actual pen test documentations and reports writings. So it has everything in it, all the way from phishing, all to impact, which they recently put in on the last topic, as how much of a damage it's causing to the company. But follow your methodologies on these principles. First of all, reconnaissance comes first, then resource development. Reconnaissance is mostly just you gathering basic information from the company as well, or your agent, whoever it is. Once you gather that basic information, you want to keep enumerating on that. How can you get into the system? Your end goal is get into the system with root privileges. Once you do that, you equals profit. So go ahead and if you don't have MITRE ATT&CK pulled up, just go ahead and copy paste this link. You should be able to bring this up so we can follow along. Next is resource development. Resource development just means that how much what you have of the resource can you utilize for enumeration and getting initial access. The idea over here is to gain whatever resource you have or you can purchase to gain initial access in the system. What topic are you looking at today? Or what topic? I am looking at pen testing methodology, WOM CPU. Nice to meet you too. We are just building on your own pen test methodology, so I'm just giving my 2 cents of what mine are. You don't have to take mine word by word. You can always use a different flavor of what I did. Whatever works for you. I think this is super crucial because, like I was saying before, that if you know this, you can definitely crack any machine, no matter what they give you, if you follow this word by word and create your own system to hack. That's basically everyone who says that, but nobody shares anything. So that's kind of bummer. But I'm here to share, so just stay along and you'll figure it out. Um, the resource development is fairly simple. You can find it over here. The You just figure. Let me just close this over here. Yeah, there we go. So you acquire infrastructure, compromise accounts, anything which is available to get into initial access development. Initial access is just your first level user access. More than likely in real life as well as in OSCP, you will not get root privileges the first time you get into a system. You will get the most basic user with only one or two available privilege escalation privilege escalation vectors. So based on that, you have to figure out which vector will work better and save you a lot of time. So once initial access is completed, you fish around for what is available, and based on that, you see what services are weaker, and then you escalate the privileges. There are tons of scripts, automated scripts, but they are only there to tell you information. You are the one who need to act on it. And once we jump into Hackthebox, we will definitely cover these scripts in detail. I'm leaving the privilege escalation part from our syllabus, which we are supposed to do. I'm leaving that for our actual Hackthebox machines because the only way you guys can actually see and understand what PS means, it will definitely be beneficial whenever I do it in person. That's what I'm thinking. So that's why I saved it up for the later. But that's why I want to cover up this part so that once we reach that privilege escalation part, the entire circle will get completed from all the way from enumeration to first user access and then root access. So I hope it makes sense later on, but that's the idea for now. Once you are in the system, you upload your files for privilege escalation. There are tons of it which you can do for Windows. I know for sure that you can use seatbelt .exe. Nothing will come up like this. So seatbelt.exe just gives you basic information on what the system is, a little bit of more information on what the kernel is set up as well as the system32 files. So get to know seatbelt.exe. It's best to compile this in your system, in your Kali system, using GCC, because more than likely other systems like the one which you hack don't really have good compilers, or you don't even have compilers. So it's better to just compile it on your Kali machine or Ubuntu machine and then duplicate it over there, or just use Netcat to transfer it if Netcat is available. But that's there. Is that much different from Windows enumeration? No, not really. Windows enumeration and Linux, I'm talking on both of them. They both are the same up until you reach the inside of the system as a lower level shell, if that makes sense. Because everything else before that, you are just enumerating and hacking services. You're not doing anything different. Everything is the same. Windows, Linux, or whatever BDS system they have is just service enumeration in the beginning, service hacking in the beginning, and then you move on to the system. That's where you use these knowledge of privilege escalation from Windows separate, Linux separate. That's when you need to know Linux file systems, how cron jobs work, and how basic file permissions work. And then separately, you need to know for the same for Windows as well. There is different ways to import files on Windows and Linux. Some things don't work on Windows by default. Like for example, every Linux system or distro, most of them have Netcat installed. That's easy, but pretty much every Windows system does not have Netcat installed. That you need to figure out a way to get in. There is TMP file in Linux. There is TEMP file in Windows, which have global execution policy, so you can import your files or upload your files into those folders. Don't go expecting TMP file folder in Windows, because it won't be there. So those are the common things which is much appreciated whenever I do the hack the box machines and show you guys how it works. But at the moment, all you need to know that the most hardest part is in hacking the services. Once you do that, you should be able to jump into privilege escalation. And also it'll give you a ton of confidence in exams as well, that you at least did 50% of the job. Most people fail at that part, so FYI. So this is the enumeration part, sorry, the privilege escalation part. There is Mimikatz. There's a GitHub for Mimikatz. Mimikatz will actually dump the passwords for the system. I wasn't clear on what I meant the script. JAWS. Just yeah, I have seen this. I use WinPES. JAWS work as well. I've seen this work as in PowerShell for a lot of people, but definitely I've never used this up till now. I see that the last update was done 2020, so it's pretty updated, the PS1 script. But whenever you have access to PowerShell, it works. Okay, hope that answers your question, WOM CPU. I've not used this yet, but in my Hack the Box challenges, I'll definitely pull this up. The Hack the Box challenge will be more community driven, so I'm going to go ahead and jump in the box, and I want inputs from you guys so that we can do this together at one system. That's usually how I learned how to do this thing, so it'll be more community driven hack rather than just me doing it and then you following along. If you did not follow along in for 5 minutes, you don't even know where I am, so that's pretty useless to do. But my entire idea for doing this is to just involve the community, so that's what I'm building up to our actual place where once I have a lot of followers as well as viewers who are watching this, we do the Hack the Box. It'll be much more fun. as I get input like, hey, don't do this way, you'll probably not get this, and someone says that, oh yeah, just use JAWS like he said, and I'll have a PowerShell script running. So that works for me. That's what I want to make sure that I empower you guys to do. So yeah, like I said before, once you're done with your execution, that you means that you have uploaded your exploit to the lower level user shell. That's the time when you run it. And now it sounds much more easy than it actually is, because sometimes you cannot run certain scripts on the system without being a sudo user. That's what you do. First thing which you do in that is you check sudo-l, which will list all the sudoers in the Linux system. There's for Windows there's separate script as well, but for Linux it's sudo-l. That will show you, oh yeah, so and so person has sudo access. So that means that if you get privilege escalation to that person, you will have sudo access. Um, Second of all, with sudo access, you can run those scripts. If you put it in the temp file, more than likely, if you put chmod x, chmod plus x, and then the file name, that will give you execution rights on that particular exploit which you did. Exploit does sh or anything, bash script. And exe as well does the same job, but different in Windows. Um, you can run it, it will run, but on a user level access, it won't run on root level access. So it won't enumerate certain things which only a root level user should have access to, like /etc password or shadow password file. That is that's the file which you need, because that will give you the password for the root user. But more than likely they won't be available that easy. You need to enumerate to root level in order to get the password for different system. Based on that, if there is a server available open and there is a password which is encrypted, you can use hashcat or John the Ripper to decrypt the password, salt it out, and find the password for that mail server or any other SMB server which is available, or SSH, even SSH. So you can have persistence, which is our next topic. Persistence is when you run your exploit and you have persistent connection to the system, and you can come in and out whenever you want. Usually an SSH is very easy to do. You can also do cron jobs to connect back to your system all the time. That's what persistent is. There are multiple ways to do persistence according to MITRE. A few of them are listed as account manipulation. That means you change the settings in the account. Let me just change this. Okay, your exchange delegation permission, your add Office 365 global admin role, which is pretty recent, which happens. SSH authorized keys, which is what I was talking about. You put your SSH key into the system and then authorize it, so that whenever you log in, you won't need the password. Most easiest way to do it, and the last place where SOC analysts look for, because they never think SSH keys can be exploited. Anyways, that's just SOC analyst work. Privilege escalation should be part of this, but it can go further or beyond. Persistence go after privilege escalation or before that, doesn't matter. But privilege escalation is the place where you escalate the privilege to root access. That's usually one or two vectors you have in the entire system of these simulated machines like Hackthebox and Oscp. There are only one or two ways to do this, but in real life there'll be like 50 different ways to do this. So don't worry about too much about PE, because you should be able to figure it out once we jump into Hacktheboxes. Defense evasion is bypassing your antivirus and then your EDR products, whichever you have. There are tons of people who have honeypots available because they're too smart, and I like when people put honeypots in their system, because it just makes hacking for pen testers as well as criminals pretty hard. And that's usually how I set up environments on my home. Everything is honeypotted. It's pretty useless to hack my systems, because it's literally that secured, not secured, but like too much work to hack for just cookies. That's basically what I have over here. Nothing much more than cookies. Credential access, you can use if you have escalated the privilege and you bypass the defenses. You can use credential access to you can dump credentials using Mimikatz, or other applications or softwares, because you have root access. You can just dump it. um, Discovery, lateral movement, and collection, though they are all different ways to further enumerate the subject. But by this stage, by privilege escalation and credential access stage, you should be able to complete your entire box at OSCP. You don't need to go further, but as an experienced pen tester, you should know the rest of the part, because that's much more critical than the first ones. Because once you have access, then what do? You don't want to be caught. You need to cover your tracks. In order to cover your tracks, you need to make sure that you have a proper C2, which is command and control setup, so that whenever you want, you can control the system without the pen testers or the SOC analysts mingling with your assessments and then blocking your access. That's what command and control means. Lateral movement is that if you found these in the etc slash password or slash shadow file, you found the passwords to different systems or domains, you can go ahead and laterally move within the system from proxy to proxy, and then try to access those and get more information from there. That's how people who are using um, ransomware to um, blackmail companies, that's what they're using, these lateral movement techniques. Once they're into the system, they hack through the system, they move through different places. Once they find the gold, they usually block it down, start encrypting it with one of the most powerful encryptors available over there. There's these algorithms which don't even break that easy. It takes like years to break. Only meant for enterprises, but these guys have access to it, so they use it to encrypt it files and folders, so you don't have access to it. And then they ask for money. I think recently, Asus, the laptop company, they got hacked for ransomware, 50 million, I think so. I read that news on Twitter today. I don't know how much of that is true. I don't even know if they're going to pay for it. But if they do, I'm not surprised, because that's the usual way to get away with this kind of exploit. You just do a ransomware attack, and then companies fork up millions of dollars to you. So I think that's good business for hackers, but definitely not for people like you and me who want to be on the safe side of the law. Trust me, if you do this on a actual country which has actual police protection, you'll be behind bars. So don't do things which is very dangerous, because the things which we learn in cybersecurity and pen testing can be utilized for hacking bad stuff like this. It's that easy to be turned, because the money and the advantages available for being a black hat is way beyond than what you get on a 9 to 5 job and secured in corporates. But always remember that if you do that path, there is always a prison sentence available for you. So don't do that thing. Be the nice person. Um, Exfiltration is when to cover your tracks and you get out of the system. You block your C2 chains. You get out of the system. You make sure that your bash history is deleted. You make sure that anything which can trace back to your IPs are blocked. If you're using a VPN, you just sever that VPN connection. Make sure nothing is available. That's when the exfiltration is, and you get out of the system, and then you let the by this time the hackers already have what they need, so it's pointless to put your resources. Just focus on media at this moment if you're a company, and then figure out how to tell FBI that you got hacked and all their data is outside of the network and everybody has access to it. So that's this whole thing. But for OSCP, you don't need to do all this stuff. By the time you do privilege escalation, you should be done. That's the end of the whole game. But further on, once you finish OSCP, then that's when you realize that it's much more than that. Everybody else does go through the exfiltration route and the impact route. That's more business centric, and that's what you'll be focusing on once you become a pen tester. But everything is business related. Um, so I think we covered most of it over here. According to the book, according to a syllabus, once you find web applications, which will be open, port 80 should be open in most Hackthebox machines as well. You can go ahead and enumerate that using Dirbuster or GoBuster, whichever works for you, and check out what services are running. Usually, if there is WordPress available, you use WP WordPress, there is a script for it, a WordPress exploit script, pretty famous. A WP scan, it's pretty much does the job for you. Updated yesterday. Wow, that's pretty cool. WP scan, WordPress security scanner, does the job for you for hacking the entire WordPress site, finding vulnerabilities in the WordPress site, as well as vectors for you to get in. It's very helpful. If you find WordPress, don't even think twice, just run a WP scan, see what is available, and based on that you can go ahead and create your vectors. um, and then if there is SQL injection, like I told you before, Portfolio Academy is first place you want to finish before you jump into OSCP, because more than likely you will be encountering web apps which have their own flaws and their own benefits to learn. So finish Portfolio Academy and then you can jump into OSCP. If you haven't done that, just do side by side, doesn't matter. At least you'll learn something both places together. Once you enumerate further, you crack the password according to the book and you obtain a shell. We have already covered this part. Once you're in it, you need to make sure that you are secured, the connection is stable, so Metaprinter session works better. If you don't have a bash prompt available, use Python PTY. That does the job for providing a prompt for easy documentations, and you can follow back on, because without that it's pretty hard to figure out what exactly you're doing. Yeah, privilege escalation. Linux systems is different than Windows, like I told you before. There is linpeas, and then there is LSC script, Linux Smart Enumeration. I saw this from Tiberius, his GitHub, not his GitHub, but his Udemy course. I was doing that course when I was working on pen testing. Working on OSCP. Tiberius has a course in Windows Linux privilege escalation as well as Windows privilege escalation. You should definitely take a look into that on Udemy. He usually posts coupons on Twitter, so just follow him if you are available on Twitter, so you can just get it for cheap. But he basically uses this Linux Smart Enumeration script, and he goes through every single part of it. If he doesn't understand, and Linux Smart Enumeration script gives you the details of what is the attack vector, he goes to hack tricks. Not this. There is where is that thing? He has a Git book. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it tells you everything in regards to it. If you run Linux privilege escalation or Windows privilege escalation, his own script, the hack trick script, it will point you to this with a link of this attack vector right over here. So this will not make sense until you run this script of linpiece. That's what it is. And same is there for winpiece, Windows privilege escalation. It's important that you run these scripts in order to know what that script does, and you can move forward on that. There's also lolbas, living off the land binaries and scripts. These are the things which are available, and they act as if they are sometimes malicious. So it's important to see what the PS tells about, or what the whatever the processes are running. You should be able to figure it out. Oh yeah, there is one way to enumerate further. If you execute this using these rights, you can get root privileges. There's also DTFO bins. Get the fuck off bins. This is mostly on Linux part. There's nothing Windows related to this. It's Linux alternative to lolbas. That's what it is. That's for Windows. This is for Windows. This is for Linux. It has everything in it. So if you go and check for let's say cron tabs, how to use cron tabs and what are the certain things which you need to do in order to run cron tabs in admin mode. So that's sudo cron tabs e. That's pretty straightforward. And if you do emacs, certain SUID or sudo availables for escalating the privilege, these are the binaries which you need to know. If you don't know, don't worry about it. Just come over here and then type netcat. You'll find netcat module for the virtual shell and everything. Helps. So these are things which are useful. Like I said, privilege escalation is much better when we cover it in an actual exploitation procedure, so we know what exactly it does. But for now, just remember that privilege escalation, you have certain scripts which you run. Based on those scripts, it gives you attack vectors, and those attack vectors lead you to root access. So don't think too much about this yet, but now is not the time to worry. That comes later. If you figured that out, that's from Batman. And targeting the Jenkins server, these things are only available whenever you find your Nmap scripts telling you that there is a Jenkins server available, and do you want to, these are the version number, do you want to hack it? So in order to search for any file available, sorry, any service which is available to hack, you just type Jenkins and then type exploit. That's it. Based on that, what the result comes up and what GitHub post comes up, you need to go ahead and read up on that and then work around your script, because sometimes it might be of a different version, but it doesn't hurt to exploit it. So like I said over here, Jeeves is part of Jenkins. It's Hackthebox machine. It has Jenkins in it because I think, yeah, J for Jenkins. Hackthebox, you crazy. We can go ahead and hack this machine later on, not now, probably next week or week after that, and then start working on how to understand what Jenkins does. If you don't know, it's just like any other platform tool of collaboration where you put in your notes and your information and then you collaborate with team members. That's basically what it is. But it's very easy to hack those, because once you hack it, you get access to the database. Easy work. A lot of Java stuff with Jenkins. Kind of don't like it. Kind of don't like Java, period. But anyways, with that's pretty much it. There's nothing more in your pen testing methodology. I have made it own over here. Do a reconnaissance, get information about the user. Resource development, you already know this. Initial access, it could be for ones based on the Nmap scan. All right, so I'm just building it up based on what I see and what I know, and if there is a website available, run Dirbuster. This will do the job and telling you what ports are available, what directories are available inside the website, so you can figure it out. Oh yeah, there is admin privileges, file, admin directory available, which can be exploited. Second of all, you can also run auto recon. Does basic enumeration for you. Auto recon is made by Tiberius itself. Cool dude, cool work which he did. Same guy who was working on Linux Smart Enumeration, LSE script. The setup process is pretty straightforward. I recommend doing this and at least having it in your system. You don't have to use it. You don't have to do anything with it if you don't want to, but keep it in your system, and whenever you see a module or a box, run this in the background. It's going to take literally 45 minutes to run the entire thing, but that should give you kind of like a backup. Most people say that don't run automated scripts. It really doesn't help you in your learning, and I think not, because it helps you to avoid pitfalls which you would have skipped if you ran a manual script like Nmap or things like that. Your job is to read information and then find the best attack vector, and as much information as you can get, more power to you. Auto Recon provides you a holistic view of the entire system and all the attack vectors available. And once it finishes, meanwhile, you should do your own uh, manual mapping and scans based on whatever information you can gather based on the user. So first run an nmap scan based on the services which is available. You are finding information, GitHub repos and things like that available for public exploits, and which you can modify later. And then in the background, just keep running auto recon, and it will do the job for you. And while by the time you finish your research, you have auto recon scripts ready, and the output ready. You can read those and then figure out that, oh yeah, whatever I was working on was the correct thing. Maybe I should go attack in that direction. And if that works, it works. If it doesn't, you always know that you can go back to auto recon and then read more about what other vectors are available. So more information, best for your privilege escalation, as well as your initial access. Sorry, not privilege escalation, just initial access, because that's what it is. All these tools just provide initial access, and that's what you need at the beginning. So resource development, initial access, persistence is you use Meterpreter sessions. If you don't want to break the persistence, it's helpful. Meterpreter does the work for you. Keep in mind that you can only use Metasploit once. You can use Meterpreter's reverse shell all the time. It doesn't matter. Lateral movement, sometimes you may or may not get lateral movement opportunities a lot, because these are just single-sided machines. But Oscp is different. You may get it, you may not get it, I don't know. But it's helpful to know how you can laterally move from one system to another using the same network or different networks. But it's important because based on that, you will be able to get the root shell on the other one, or maybe there's a root access available on the admin procedure on the admin computer, which is laterally available on a different system. So you have to do that from your side, and that those things you can learn more on once you take the OSCP. There are pro labs available, but they cost like $100 to get this set up on Hackthebox for lateral movement. There are, I think, 20 machines within one pro lab, and everything is interconnected to each other. Helpful, yes. You get a certificate, sure, but how much of that is valuable, you only know once you take it. So I haven't taken it yet. I'm planning on doing that with you folks, but only when we finish entire of TGNL sessions, TGNL's Hack the Box machines, most of it, and we should be good. With that being said, that's all of it is available. Create your own methodologies. Don't rely on someone else. Don't ask for methodology help for someone else. It really doesn't help, because everybody has a different way of learning. You have a much better mind from others, and definitely that's going to be to use that for your advantage. Don't rely on people for knowledge of how should I develop my own pen test methodology. Everybody in the cybersecurity business has their own ways of hacking stuff. Blue team has their own way of identifying threats, um, and they don't usually tell you that. They usually tell you that just to make sure that you go away, but they don't share certain things which is trade secret for them, and I understand that. So that's why you have to think on your own. Read up resources, watch YouTube videos, but make sure that you learn on your own. That's how this entire journey of OSCPs is pretty lonely, but once you get out of it, you'll be packed of this ecosystem where everybody respects what you have done and what you have succeeded in, and you're equal to them. So kind of like camaraderie, not really, but okay. Anyways, that's all for me. I just took less than 45 minutes to complete this, and kind of proud based on my previous stream sessions of going for an hour and a half. And sorry if I ran pretty quickly in this, but my entire idea was to give you just a brush up on how these pen test methodologies work, and based on that, you develop your own. And that being said, we have officially finished our syllabus for OSCP in 7 days. It's not completely done per se, but we have completed most of it, except the privilege escalation part and the active directory part. For that, I need an actual machine to do it. I cannot just show you and then expect you to know by the end whenever we have to do it. So officially we are done. Next time you hear from me, we will be jumping on to Hackthebox. I need to buy the subscription for Hackthebox. If you don't know me on Hackthebox, I go by Shubham K. That's my Hackthebox username. Just send me a message there, or just add me as friend if it is available, so you know what machines I'm doing. um, as previously, all my updates will be coming through Twitter and LinkedIn. So if you are friends with me over there, just add me, and you will be up to date on everything what's available. But I'll be taking a couple of days leave from hacking and then focus on my life. And after that, I'll jump into Hackthebox, because that's the only way to learn um, OSCP. There's no other way to do it. So that being said, be good, enjoy your time available, study on your own, and then develop your methodology. So when the time comes, you should be good and fair and square. Well, enjoy your day ahead.